Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. No introduction necessary. I teased this a little bit on my Friday's video. I said I was having a special guest come, and who did you guys even think it would be? Jim Putnam.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, we met a couple months ago or 3 months ago at
Cultivate.
Maybe
Yep.
a few months, but I don't know, time goes so fast
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And, which was great. I was sending pictures to Jason bragging about how I met you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So you and Stephany are on this big trip around the whole country, right?
Big trip. And we stopped at Creekside. We stopped at Linda Vodder.
Right.
We've been all over.
Right.
Been all over.
And you were up in
visits.
Isley Nursery.
We were at Isley for a couple days filming that garden. It's a bucket list garden.
Oh my goodness, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're on your way down to California.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then after you're going to go Arizona, is that right?
Arizona. Yeah.
How fun.
Visiting one of my son's best friend for his whole life, and I haven't seen him in a couple years.
Oh,
So
how
excited
fun.
for that.
Well, I appreciate you putting us on your list.
Oh my gosh, well, yeah, I was looking forward to it because you have a very different. I like to go and challenge myself in other places, so I don't want to, I can kind of ID the things in my area.
Yeah.
So I like to go other places, and I'm riding down the road going, what is that? What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, you were just asking me, what are these trees? And it's like,
Yeah, right,
I don't know. Almond tree. So one of the things I asked, we decided we were going to film a couple videos together. So Jim is going to have a video of a garden tour.
Yes.
What I have of the garden these days.
Coming along
It's
coming
coming.
along.
Yeah. So make sure you check out his channel so you can see Jim's take on my garden, my new garden. And then you agreed to an interview, which I really appreciate. Good. First question.
Sure.
How'd you get started in horticulture?
I got a job at a garden center. Well, I always say that I was forced labor as a kid.
Oh.
Priming tobacco. We had tobacco. Back a long time ago, tobacco fields had a lot of labor in them.
Uh-huh.
And so that was forced labor, that kind of thing.
So like what age are you talking about?
12.
Oh man,
11.
so you're not kidding.
And hot tobacco fields in North Carolina. Yeah, it was interesting. Now it's all done by machine, and
Right.
nobody's out there
Yeah.
working on it. And then I got a job at a garden center when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
In Raleigh, and it just led me, on this journey.
All the way through.
Yes.
So you worked as a landscaper for a while?
I went from the garden center to work for a couple of landscapers, and then I started I've been self-employed since I was like 25.
Good for you. That's awesome. And so you had a nursery, and you had a garden center yourself.
Yes.
How fun.
So that just kind of looped around from landscaping to nursery to,
Huh. So you
garden
have
center.
had a whole bunch of roles in the
Yes.
garden industry.
Yes.
What do you think was your favorite?
Ooh, what is my favorite? I think probably what I'm doing now, just because I get to teach on such a much bigger level.
Yeah.
So when
Bigger audience.
Right, it was because I was always teaching one nurseryman something that I knew that they needed to know, or teaching another landscape, or teaching, one homeowner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's an audience.
It's a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, you can teach at one time, and you can, hopefully save them some headaches.
Awesome. So how long have you had your YouTube channel?
6.5 years, something like that.
And you started for your garden center,
I
right?
did. I was making, and I joke when I say this, it's a complete joke, but I said it was to actually make customers leave, because I would be able to get to the end of a sale and go, I got a video for that.
Yeah.
I got a video for that.
Yeah.
I can go now help the next customer.
Right. I don't have to explain it to you. Yeah.
I made this video for you.
That's actually really smart. I mean, I'm sure they like that a lot.
Yeah,
but...
I'm giving a lot of. Hopefully, they were going home and watching them. I have no idea, but I jokingly say I made videos to get rid of customers, but I didn't. It was not that at all.
So you didn't have to explain the same thing over and over again.
Right, and then from there, people started watching from other places.
Right.
And so
it kind of took
like,
off.
Oh, this could be a thing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, big thing. So you moved back to Raleigh. Did you grow up? You grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina?
I grew up in Raleigh. Moved out to Johnston County, Johnston County, North Carolina, for those who don't know, has a lot of nurseries, a lot of plant nurseries.
Oh, okay.
And part of the reason is it was like at one point affordable land for guys who had gone to NC State horticulture school.
Oh, yeah.
And, NC State's red and everything's red, and so if you go to one of their meetings, it's like 35 red pickup trucks. That's how they all went to NC State, but it's not good. It's not priced well anymore.
Right.
It's a suburb of Raleigh now,
right.
and it's been absorbed. But there are a lot of nurseries there, and so that's part. That was for those of us in horticulture,
It was an easy place for you to go.
yes, and
Yeah.
all the nurseries that I could buy plants from a landscaping wise, and then they became my customers in my nursery.
Yeah,
Right.
that's amazing. And then what, like 4 or 5 years ago, you moved back to Raleigh
Yes.
and you started a new property basically from scratch, right?
Yeah, it was about three years ago we started on this project.
Yeah.
And it's developed pretty quick. It's only 0.19 acres, so you moved to a bigger property, and I did the literal opposite thing.
What was your previous
About
property?
this property.
It was about
this
an
size,
acre?
and it went down to 0.19, and you went from 0.17 to an acre. So
Yeah,
we did
I
the
was joking around and I was saying, yeah, our last place that we let, it was only 0.17. He's like, well,
opposite.
and Stephany was like, that's what we have now. And it's like,
right.
ooh.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice because that means you can do it from one end to the other. You
Yeah.
can completely do it.
Yeah, and I talk somewhat on the, I've referred to the space that we're living in also as being part of our lives because we're near downtown, we're near
Yeah.
NC State,
Yeah.
we're near, we're close in, and we can walk to things, and
It makes a huge difference.
that's so
Yeah.
part of life as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've noticed the difference because we used to be in it
Right.
when on our last property, and now we're
Yeah,
takes
right.
20 minutes to get
Right.
anywhere.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's what I did when I had a young kid. So, I
yeah,
mean, that's, I
yeah.
think
So
that's-
there's a time and a place for it.
yeah, exactly.
So what's your favorite part about the new property?
Ooh, what's
Like-
the favorite part? I think the fact that we've created this kind of really amazing pollinator garden
Yeah.
and a space for birds
Yeah.
and this oasis in a community of crepe myrtles and like 5 things that people use. There are some great gardens in our neighborhood. I don't want to
Yeah.
cut it completely.
You
like
have
that.
some really good videos with the
Yes,
garden
yes,
tours and
yes,
yeah.
because we're near NC State and it's a horticulture school.
Yeah.
There's a lot of influence
Yeah.
in there, but there's a lot of monoculture things
Right.
out there, and our garden just like I call it clown college design, because it's so bright and showy.
That's my favorite.
Right, yeah,
That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
And then I love it when the pollinators find you
Yes.
and you can go out in your garden and you have butterflies and bees and all that
We
fun
have so
stuff.
many native bees this year. It was
Oh,
just
that's
so many
great.
more. It took 3 years
Yeah.
to get the native bees.
Yeah.
You get the honeybees will find it from
Right.
somehow miles. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but the native bees are there now.
Do you have bee houses for them or bug hotels?
We do. We
Oh,
do. And then
nice.
we have honeybees as well.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
a tiny lot. A lot of things going on.
So I am starting this property from scratch, just like you started your property from
Yes.
scratch. What would be your best advice for someone like me
Right.
that is starting fresh?
I think it's soil improvement, and you're already working on that. You've got your wood chips in the back.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your compost
Yep.
out there. I think there's several things. I mean, one is definitely soil improvement. The other thing is just to get moving on something. I think people get
Stuck.
I get boy. They just they're so scared of killing something.
Yeah.
That it literally like they can't move.
Right.
They can't get started. Go dig a hole. If
Just
you
do
can't-
something.
Yeah, if you can get wood chips, if they're if you can get them, I would use them and at least get started on your soil improvement while
Right.
you're trying to design or whatever. But you just have to start.
Yeah.
Start.
Start on at least something.
Yes, and the things that you kill that you're so worried about are the things you're going to learn from.
Yeah.
Nobody comes outside and analyzes why something's going well.
Right. Because you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when something does go poorly, that's when you jump in and you start to become a gardener.
Yeah.
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 Why is it happening?
Absolutely.
Yeah, how can I not repeat this?
And I kind of expect a percentage of what I plant is going to die, not because of my fault. Well, sometimes it's my fault, but but just for
Right,
whatever
yeah.
reason. And like you said, it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
And even just one end of the yard to the other end of the yard might make a huge difference on where something's growing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And don't be afraid to move things around.
yeah,
And they're chess pieces.
yeah.
I just call them chess pieces.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So you did pretty much all the landscaping in your garden yourself
Yeah. With Steph.
with Steph.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Steph.
Yes. Yeah.
With Steph.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, how neat. So you even like laid the rocks down, that walkway that you have
Yeah,
and all that
everything.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Is
All
that
stuff. I did a lot of hardscaping. One of the reasons I quit landscaping is because more and more I became known for stonework,
hardscape?
and I did not want to be
Yeah.
a mason for
Yeah.
the rest of my life. And I could just see every job I got was based on a stone job I had done a month
Oh,
before, 2
because you
months
did a good
before.
job on it.
Yes, and it just got like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be bent over doing this
Oh,
forever.
that's,
It's
yeah.
hard work.
It's hard work, and most people can't do that kind of thing themselves.
Well, and there's an age limit on it too.
Yes.
It has an age cap. As I was in my 30s doing it, I was like, oh, this is gonna have a cap. This definitely has an end.
So
I can feel that end coming.
how did you feel doing it on your new property?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, because I can do it at the pace I wanted to do it.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't have to do it all.
I mean, I remember seeing your big pile of rocks, and I'm thinking, how are they going to move that?
Yeah, no, it's just one at a time.
Yeah.
One at a time. And we have unfinished projects, and people watching this who watch my channel will know that I've been promising some things for 3 years.
You get to it when you get to it, right?
It'll happen.
Yeah.
I'm traveling.
Yeah, of course. For a long time traveling too. This trip is what? 2 months? Oh, a month?
Yeah.
And then you
now.
What's the whole trip going to be?
Probably 2 total, I would think.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
That's very cool. To me, you have always, your channel on YouTube, kind of like how you got started, right, is getting people out of your garden center. You've been kind of like the go-to, I think we all get it. You've been like the go-to how-to garden channel.
Right.
Like you taught me how to garden, right? Like you teach everybody how to garden. You do a great job, and now you have that gardening series,
Yes.
right? Remind me what that's
I've
called.
got a gardening series that I sell on my website called Learn to Garden Video Series. It's for all types of gardeners.
Okay.
As much as anything, I have used it as a tool to organize my channel because I have about 1,500 videos.
It's ridiculous how many videos you
Yeah,
have.
right. But if I do a video on pruning on the Learn to Garden Video Series, all my other videos that I've ever done on pruning are attached to
Are
it,
in
so
there.
that people can see it. But it's for sale on my website.
I think that's pretty, that's pretty neat, right? Because I think, well, I don't know, when I started gardening, I started 2019, 2020, I couldn't get enough information.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It was hard to find enough information. And having over 1,000 videos that you have categorized in that system or program, whatever you call it, right, is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you've kind of mastered YouTube. You've kind of mastered the online thing.
Right, yeah.
You've mastered YouTube. You can't say you haven't mastered YouTube.
Right.
Are you ever going to go into any other mediums?
Oh, I have a book thing. I have a book agreement, and I'm probably behind on.
That was my question.
On deliverables. I'm slightly behind on deliverables.
Oh my
but I do have
goodness.
a book thing.
Okay. Can you talk at all about it?
Yeah, it's going to be about. That's just the third thing I would add to the improving your soil, jumping in. The third thing I would say about starting in a garden is knowing who you are.
Okay.
Because that's partly that. A lot of that's going to be about the book. And it's, if you jump in and make a garden that's got a lot of herbaceous perennials and annuals and stuff in it, but you're not the person who wants to be in it
care
every
of
day,
it, yeah.
right? It's
What
not
are you
gonna
doing?
Make you happy.
Right.
So I think part of it is analyzing just who you are, where your life is at that moment.
Yeah.
Young kids, dogs,
Yeah.
pets, age,
Yeah.
traveling.
Right.
You know what I mean? And knowing that. So some of that.
And even like style, are you going to go into
Yeah,
a different
yeah,
style and how you want to handle it? How interesting. That's so funny. I said on my interview question list, it was, are you ever going to write a book? Because you need to write a book. And it's like, you're writing a book.
Yeah. Well,
Get on it.
Again, behind on deliverables.
Get on it. Have Steph drive and you can write in the back.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
That's awesome. So you're obviously a plant nerd like I am, right? I love looking at plants. I love, I love going to arboretums. I love going to plant stores, all that kind of stuff. What plants are you most excited about now?
For me, that would be, okay, so it's always the plant that I'm kind of looking at that moment. I know that sounds bad because we interview people and I ask the same question.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'll get this response, but it's the same thing for me. So 3 hours ago, I'm up on the interstate and we stop at a rest stop and the West Coast live oak is there. Quercus agrifolia, I think is what that one is.
Yeah.
With the long acorns.
Yeah.
So I'm nerding out on that. And then yesterday we were in the Isley conifer garden.
Yeah.
And with Japanese maples, nerding out on that.
You're freaking out about those.
The day before that, I was in the Columbia Gorge riding a bicycle, passing the Oregon maples, the big leaf maples.
Oh yeah.
In Oregon, what is it, Acer macrophyllum or whatever it is, and nerding out on that. So
it's whatever's in front of you.
It could literally be.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. I think that's why people love you on YouTube is because you love plants.
And I'll say this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, about everything.
It makes people so crazy, but it's true. At that moment in time,
Yeah.
you're into that thing that it's in front of you, and it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to watch Jim's videos. Oh, I'm telling you, you're one of the people who taught me how to garden. But I just remember you getting excited about a green bush, and you're like, "Oh, it's this!" Oh, I'm looking at this guy going, "It's just a bush."
Probably.
So I'm not
That
quite
sounds
there
right.
yet. I get really excited about flowers, but
Yeah.
you're like, you're a plant nerd.
Yeah, and I like to know where they came from. I like
Yeah.
to see them in the wild. I like
Yeah.
to see them, I like to, somebody sells me something native, where?
Yeah.
Let me go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
So you, in addition to being a YouTuber
Mhm.
and all the other hats that you wear, a writer now,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited about, you also work with a company kind of searching for new plants. Is that right?
Well, I have a relationship with Plant Development Services, which is anybody who watches my channel knows Southern Living Plant Collection on Corzalia is the Sunset Plant Collection, which
Yeah.
you guys have out here.
Yeah.
And then,
The new boxwoods, right?
and the better boxwood,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, and so we do go and film with plant breeders and build relationships, and we tag plants here or there that we hope might get added to the collections later.
So you're the guy that actually goes out.
Well, I wouldn't call myself that. No, there's several people in the company, but we will. I know what I'm looking for.
Right.
I've been doing this for a long
That
time.
green bush.
No, let me tell you something. Meatballs sell. I call them meatballs, and meatballs sell. You put a meatball on a shelf, it's some meatballs gonna sell.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I do call them those little green balls,
Yeah.
yellow balls. It doesn't matter what it is, it'll sell.
It'll sell because
Yeah.
people need that kind of stuff.
right.
Interesting. So you're one of the guys with PDSI who's going out there making the relationships, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's another part in the gardening, world that you
Right.
play.
Yeah, we have there's a lot of great plant breeders out there that aren't like attached to some company.
Yeah.
They're just doing it in their backyard.
Yeah.
Or they're doing it in a nursery setting or whatever.
Yeah.
And those plants, need a home, and
Right.
somebody will protect them, from being
Taken over.
propagated.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
So have you ever or thought about getting into plant breeding? That seems like something big.
No, it's just I think it's so much time. So I did the nursery thing for so long that it was an everyday think about it kind of thing, and it was stressful. And that's the part that I've put in my past. If you were doing plant breeding, it'd be the same thing. These things that you're evaluating or whatever, unless you had a group of people helping you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be responsible for those seedlings every day.
That's another one of your jobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to be taught. That's part I've left behind.
Right.
Is I'm up at 11 o'clock at night thinking about this storm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And worrying about 2
Right.
years of work that you've put
Yes,
into
right,
it, all
right.
that.
Now, if it's 11 o'clock and it's a storm and it does some damage in the garden, that's content.
Content, something else you can put on your channel.
Exactly. Life happens in the garden. Yeah, right.
So Stephany is your partner.
Yes.
She is, Stephany, you've also been in horticulture as well.
Yes.
Right?
And she has a degree in landscape design.
Oh, nice. Oh, I
Yes.
didn't know that. That's awesome. Does she get as excited about you, about the oak trees as you do?
Yeah, definitely. And we that was the thing is she had this degree in landscape horticulture or design.
Yeah.
And wasn't really using it.
Right.
And so when we got together, it was like these,
Yeah.
both of us had
You
that-
both
yeah.
can be nerds together.
Yes, exactly.
I'm trying to bring Jason along with. He's getting better, but he's also kind of like, "Ooh, what is that? What is it?"
That's good. You got to learn. You got to learn. And
The green leafy plant.
you got to make sure he digs the holes, because that's actually where you learn. Right?
Yeah.
If you plant 25 of something in a day, you'll
Yeah.
remember it.
You hear that?
The scars. The scars will help you learn.
Yes, right.
Right.
Or now that I'm
thorns,
injured,
the
he's having to go out and water everything,
Right,
right?
right.
So he's got to know what I talk about when I say, go water the salvia or anything
That's
like
it.
that. Okay, so last question. This is kind of, a generic interview question, but I think it's really important to understand this because you've made a huge impact on my gardening career. I'm not just saying that. Like, you really have. You've taught me a whole bunch, and I think that it's because you were so accessible to all of us on YouTube, watching YouTube. Who made the biggest impact for your gardening career?
Well, I say one thing about my thing is that I did retail for so long that I kind of listened to, I could see how people reacted to certain words
Yeah.
or phrases that
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
and then work on them. As I worked on my vocabulary, worked on the way I
Explain things. Yeah.
Oh, you know, because what's the shortest way I could explain this?
Yeah.
And have them actually understand it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing as a garden communicator, is just paying attention to how people are learning.
It's huge.
You know, how people are learning. But so for me, I have an actual series of videos on my channel for folks who are big in horticulture, you know, big
plant nerds.
Yes, big established people in horticulture.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I would recommend that people go to that playlist. But I think overall, we got to do a video with Dr. Michael Durr, who's a retired professor from UGA.
Mm-hmm.
And so for my nursery,
Yeah.
I had the Woody Plant Manual, which is about this thick. The only man on earth that would take on writing a book about every ornamental woody plant in the world. And then a propagation manual as well.
Yeah.
So where my propagation, you know, that came from, you know, his teachings as
Oh,
well.
he did the propagation
Yes,
manual.
and then every nursery I would ever go to pick up plants for my landscaping or whatever, those two books are sitting on the shelf.
Oh,
Those two books are sitting on the shelf.
interesting.
Or students had them, and
Yeah.
you know, hort programs. And you know, Dr. Armitage has been on the channel too, and he's also a retired professor from UGA. But meeting both of them and then having them on the channel, and then, you know, like sometimes I'm like, I'm texting with Armitage.
Who am I?
Right, you know, or whatever. And it was like these books were the things that, you know, because now the media is, you know, on YouTube, or it's visual, it's video.
It's definitely changed.
But there was a time when textbooks were
the thing.
You know,
Interesting. I'll have to get those textbooks and read them. I like those kind of big
well, the
textbooks.
Woody Plant Manual is a big chunky thing. And I think more recently he's got a hydrangea book, which is super interesting.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So how was it actually going? Because you filmed at their gardens, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, you go there and you're like, I can't believe he said yes to this. First of all, and who am I to be here? And you push the button, and then you start, and then you just want to listen. Yeah. That's the other thing. It's about knowing. Even though I say I've been doing this for 37 years and I'm teaching all these people stuff, I want to go places. And like we did a video yesterday, it'll be on my channel in a few days, on Japanese maples at Isley.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm standing there with a guy who just gave the talk at the National Japanese Maple Society meeting in Seattle like 3 weeks before.
He's the guy.
I'm not going to talk in this video.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know when to go. I'm going to listen and learn, because this is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So taking those opportunities,
yeah,
you know, they'll present themselves no matter how long they've been doing this.
Yeah.
There'll be somebody somewhere that's nerded out on something.
Yes.
Way more than you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. But how cool is it that now you have a way to connect with those people?
It's nice to be able to send an email and get a response.
Absolutely.
I will say that, yes, this has offered me the ability to, or email somebody that can email that or whatever.
Yeah, you have some
doors.
way, some connection to meet that person that you've geeked out on so much. So
that's the fun part.
Oh, how interesting. Jim, you are awesome.
Oh,
and when I say you're a plant nerd, just know that I mean that in the best way possible.
Oh, yeah. No,
like you are the biggest plant nerd I know. In the best way possible.
Right, no, it's a great title. I'll accept it.
And I think that any new gardener needs to go and watch your channel for like hours, because that's just where you learn things. And I know I keep going back to myself and saying how I learned. I would watch your channel, pause, look up a word, go back, play it, look up a word. So truly, it's like this is what taught me gardening. So
thank you so much, and I enjoyed meeting you. Your channel, I know, has grown quickly.
It's been fun.
Exciting.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
So we are going to do one more video that I will post tomorrow. One of the things that I learned from you was actually propagation, right? Cool. And propagation to me is one of the most interesting things in gardening, that you can actually start a plant from a cutting or something like that.
My entire nursery was actually propagation.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe it. So Jim also has another playlist on his channel where you have like 50 videos, propagation videos, how to propagate this, how to do this, how to do backyard propagation. I mean, it's so, you've dived so deep
Right,
into
yeah.
it.
And this past year, I'm just bending limbs over into pots.
Yeah,
All
right?
the version of it.
And before you had that sprayer thing in
Yes,
your
yeah, all
backyard.
kinds of, all
Yeah.
kinds of techniques.
So check out that, but I'll also have a video tomorrow. We're gonna film it right now, and he's just gonna show us some basic stuff on plant propagation. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed this. Make sure you check out Jim's channel. I'm sure you all have already. I don't even have to say that. I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.